Imagine this. You wake up, it's totally silent. You're locked inside a massive, pristine, completely featureless white cube. No windows, no natural light, no phones, just four walls, a bed, a private bathroom, endless identical canned food, and one complete stranger. Today we're diving into an explainer of a challenge that starts out sounding like a straightforward endurance test, but very quickly morphs into a dark psychological thriller. We're going to see exactly what happens when the human mind is totally stripped of reality.
Nahuk, $500,000. It's sitting right there in a massive vault just outside the door. All our two contestants, Bailey and Susie, have to do is survive 100 days in the cube together. But, there's always a catch, right? And this one is a massive, dangerous liability. If either person tops out, if they just can't take the isolation anymore and leave early, the prize for both of them instantly drops to zero. You are literally trusting your financial fate and your sanity to a total stranger.
So it poses the ultimate question, doesn't it? Could you survive 100 days trapped in a room with someone you've never met? Well, to find out, we're going to break this whole journey down. We're going to watch as sheer boredom, extreme temptation, and eventually, deep paranoia slowly tear away at their minds.
Let's start with Phase 1, the setup and sensory deprivation.
Now, the architects of this whole thing were incredibly clever. They made sure Bailey and Susie had all their physical needs perfectly met. They had healthy food, water, a place to sleep. But they absolutely starved their psychological needs. When you strip away any concept of time, any glimpse of natural light, or just basic entertainment, the brain panics. It literally starts eating itself just to fill the void.
Because think about it, without the sun, time basically dies. It completely loses all meaning. Actually, on night one, they mistakenly slept for only 2 hours. They woke up at 2:37 a.m., trapped in this endless, beaming daylight of the cube. By day 4, the desperation is really setting in. They're ripping up journal paper to make these crude, makeshift playing cards. And by day 5, full-blown paranoia. They actually started fabricating a fake sign-in sheet just to try and trick the camera operators into revealing what day it was.
The room itself basically became a psychological weapon. Bailey noted, "Once it gets super late at night, I physically feel my eyes stinging." Those constant, buzzing, bright white overhead lights were just relentless, utterly exhausting. It actually drove them to hide in the tiny, dark, unlit bathroom just to escape the blinding reality of the cube for a few minutes.
Which brings us to Phase 2, the economics of temptation. So the room is slowly breaking down their defenses, right? And the creators knew exactly how to exploit this. Every 10 days, they'd offer them a little taste of the outside world, but it had to be paid for right out of their prize money. On day 10, morale is still pretty high, so they confidently reject a $50,000 private chef. Easy. But man, that isolation wears you down. By day 30, they actually surrendered $10,000 just for a coffee maker. 10 grand? And by day 50, they were so desperate they handed over $20,000 just for a brief 10-minute glimpse of their families.
But behavioral economics is a really tricky thing, especially in a vacuum. By day 60, the room offered them a mystery, a plain black box. The cost? $50,000. Now, paranoid and utterly terrified it was some sort of psychological trap designed to drain their account, Susie and Bailey cautiously passed on it. They wanted to protect the fund.
Well, it turns out that mystery box held their $50,000 back in cash. It was completely free. And, oh yeah, it came with the keys to 2 brand new Teslas. Because they were so deeply conditioned to expect expensive, malicious traps by this point, they missed the greatest reward of the whole challenge. And let me tell you, the crushing weight of that silence after they realized their mistake, it was devastating.
You see, out here in the real world, if you make a mistake, you can distract yourself. But inside that white cube, your failures just echo. Susie said, "I'll regret this forever," and she meant it. She stopped sleeping. For over a week, she just stared up at the ceiling, completely agonizing over what they had lost. It became quite literally the only thing her understimulated mind could process.
So desperate for a win to offset that massive psychological blow, they basically lost all logic. On day 70, a mega bundle of items was offered up in a blind auction. We're talking real beds, movies, premium food. Terrified of missing out on another Tesla-level reward, they swung entirely in the opposite direction. They bid an insane $100,101 just to feel something good again.
And that leads us right into Phase 3, the breaking point.
Now, you would probably assume that buying all this comfort would finally bring some peace, right? Wrong. It brought intense hostility. These former allies turned into bitter, deeply irritated roommates. Bailey would use up all the hot water before Susie could shower. Susie started secretly hiding the Monopoly dice just to avoid interacting with him. There was high-energy pacing at 3 a.m., endless arguing over what movie to watch. The room magnified every single breath, every movement, into sheer agony.
Survival wasn't even the hard part anymore. The true nightmare? It was each other. Susie admitted, "The longer I'm in here, the more I feel like I'm sharing a space with an annoying sibling." That really captures the claustrophobic horror of it. Every little quirk, every sigh, every throat clear, it just scraped away at whatever fragile sanity they had left.
Finally, we reach the climax, the ultimate trust test. Day 100 actually arrives. The countdown hits 0. Our weary subjects are pulled out of the cube, separated, blindfolded, and forced into one final, incredibly high-stakes psychological hurdle. The classic prisoner's dilemma. Do you hit split and trust the very person you've grown to completely despise to share the remaining $360,000? Or do you hit steal and take it all for yourself? The catch is, if the paranoia wins and both of you hit steal, 100 days of absolute suffering end with you walking away with literally nothing.
So there's this agonizing silence. And then the room lights up green. Despite the mind-numbing boredom, the brutal financial temptations, and all that escalating hostility, they both proudly chose to split the money. It's kind of amazing. It proved that this shared trauma, this intense human connection forged in total isolation, could actually successfully overcome sheer greed. So, wrapping up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really profound question about our own human nature. Look at yourself. Be totally honest. If you are stripped of the outside world, pushed to the absolute brink of insanity, and staring down a stranger who holds your financial fate in their hands, when that clock hits 0, do you press split or do you steal?